looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real, real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarm setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys.
We're live. Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to Pema TV.
Welcome to October 25th, 2013. 6 more days.
And for all of our pagan friends out there, happy Samhain. I think that's how you say it.
Sally?
Yeah.
Samhain.
Samhain.
All that good stuff.
Yeah. Want to thank Greysen for premiering his stuff here with us on Real Paranormal TV. Some awesome stuff. It's amazing when you can not only entertain but educate. That is an amazing accomplishment. We do have a whole lot going on around here. First, let's talk about Metaluna.
The place. Metaluna Boutique and Stones, Gladewater, Texas. There is a website. It is basically a boutique and new age shop, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a paranormal section, there's a metaphysical section, and then there's a boutique for everybody else who doesn't care.
And also, to make sure everybody knows, we are also a vendor for Paranologies. So if you want to order any of Jeremy Jones's devices, you can do that through our website too. His full catalog is up on the website.
Absolutely. And the doll you see is the larger witch. All the dolls, the jewelry, soaps, candles are all handmade, hand poured.
Yep. So be sure and check that out at MetalunaBoutiqueandStones.com.
Absolutely.
We've got a bunch of conventions and stuff coming up first. Let's just put them in chronological order. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Next
long
week.
Day. This coming, not this Friday, but next Friday and Saturday, you can come see me. I'll be at the Dia de los Muertos Paranormal Conference in San Antonio. Scott Grunwald, Ken Gerhardt, the Kling brothers, Jen DeVilliers, Justin Eric, a whole bunch of people, and the old Yeti will be down there for a convention at the Emily Morgan Hotel in downtown San Antonio. So don't be afraid to come down there and join us. Don't have the ticket information right in front of us, but you can hit us up on Facebook, and I'll shoot all that information over to you. And the weekend after that, that's like 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, there is that.
Everybody needs to load up. Come join us down here in East Texas for
Marshall's Haunted Holidays. In Marshall, Texas, November 9th, we have vendors, we have speakers, we have a haunted tour, we have an investigation, we have the cemetery tour at dusk, we have, they've opened the museum there, so everybody can tour the museum. We also have Cohen's Carnival. One of the team members from Art in East Texas had a little baby boy. His name is Cohen Gage. He decided he didn't want to wait the entire time inside Mommy. He wanted to see her quicker than that, so he came out at 23 weeks, 1 pound, 3 ounces, 11 inches long. So we're throwing a carnival. It's basically a bunch of little kids games, and there's little prizes and stuff. But that will help raise money for all his medical bills. He's already had a heart surgery twice. He's
like off part of the ventilation system and everything. He's doing really to be as small as he was. He's doing above average.
Right. I want to say he's like 5 or 6 weeks old now.
88 days.
That's total gestation. That's from conception.
Oh.
So yeah, that's what threw me. I was trying to get how old he actually was, but she started it from conception.
Well, in theory, I guess you could.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Seeing he didn't want to wait, but we've got all kinds of cool stuff. The speakers are Geraldine Sutton-Stipe, Dr. Rita Louise, Mary Gasparo, Jason McLeod, Lyle Blackburn, and Larry Flaxman.
And Mitchell Whittington.
Oh, and Mitchell Whittington.
You can go to hauntedholidaysmarshall.eventbrite.com and order your tickets.
Did I say we had investigations?
Yes, we do have 2 investigations in 2 virgin locations that have never been investigated before. So
We have an 1886 original Chamber of Commerce building, and we have a 1901 plantation mansion, 3,500 square feet.
and tickets are selling fast. There's less than 30 left. So if you want to be part of the investigation, because we are very serious about Cabinet of 40, because it will be a serious investigation. It is not a outing.
No.
The team leads are from groups that do this, are very experienced. So there will be no shenanigans. This is a serious investigations.
Yeah. But I'm one of the team leads, so there may be a little shenanigans somewhere,
Well,
but not much. And Friday the 8th at Under the Texas Sun in Marshall, we are having
6 to 8.
6 to 8. We are having a meet and greet and wine tasting.
Yep. So, and also, if you order your tickets online, show up with 2 canned goods, we'll give you $1 back.
That's right.
Hard $1, and you can go spend that $1 at the Cohen Carnival.
That's right.
So, other than that, we don't.
Oh, and we have one in March.
That is true, and I do not have the banner up for it, which is really kind of silly because I made it.
Yeah, in Shreveport.
Yeah, we'll be. No, actually, we'll be in Ruston,
Wow.
Louisiana. Pretty close. Our guest tonight is Greysen Schmitt, who just premiered his first episode of Real Paranormal Television here, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. He said he was going to need a few minutes. I think he has a little bit of celebrating going on. Let me see if I can get a hold of him.
Either that or he needed a potty break.
He might have needed a potty break.
But yeah, for anybody in the East Texas area, if you cannot make the Marshall Haunted Holidays, Mary Gasparo, author of Animals Impacting the World, will be at Metaluna signing books on Sunday the 10th. Oh, Look at there.
Well, hi, Greysen. How are you?
Hey, Eric, what's happening?
Well, we're just trying to stay out of trouble. How about you? How's the celebration going on there?
Little light. You know, I'm trying to take it easy still.
So, like, there's no slam dancing or mosh pitting or anything going on.
I'll be back to that definitely in a couple months, I promise. You must know a little bit about me. That's great.
Well, I've got to say, I'm extremely impressed by that first episode. I mean, when you can educate and entertain, man, that's a major accomplishment. That's just kudos to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Eric. It was an absolute pleasure. I mean, you know, I thank you so much for allowing me to premiere the show on Penn and for having me on board. It's a pleasure. You're a good friend. We've been in communication and, you know, friends for years now. And I'm just thankful that you're part of my life, Eric. Thank you, man.
We're grateful to have you as part of our family, too.
You're more than welcome.
Oh, thank you, too.
See, nobody knows I'm here.
What was the great just so and I'm sure you've got a lot of ringers in the chat room. So you got a lot of really good friends in the chat room because the same people that were here to watch the episode stuck around to see you again. So what is the great motivation behind Real Paranormal Television? What was the one thing that lit your fire about that, so to speak?
Well, how did it get started, basically, or?
Yeah, I mean, was there one catalytic type event that, I mean, did you see something on television that just you said, "Ah, screw it, I can do better than this"? I mean, or
No, I'm not like that. I mean, I don't bring ego to the table with this type of thing. It's not about that for me. Basically, a friend of mine had said, you know, he wanted, here, hold on, one of my daughters just walked in. There's lots of stuff going on over here.
It's okay.
Bye,
Hi,
honey.
daughter.
Now, no, I'm on live right now, sweetheart. I'm sorry, I'll give you a hug in a couple. Can I hug my daughter? Hold
Yes,
on
you
a second.
can. You can hug your daughter.
Here, come here,
Oh
honey.
my goodness.
Introduce her.
You.
Oh, she's precious.
I love you. Okay, bye.
Bye, daughter.
She just missed me. I'm sorry. I kind of went hiding to do the episode. So, you know, now I'm, I have to, you know, bear that. But what happened was a friend of mine had basically said that he wanted me to, he was starting, you know, some project. He wanted me to do a show for the paranormal and, you know, it kind of got me started. And then basically I was told that it was going to cost me a lot of money to produce these episodes. And I was already full bore into making the show. You know, I posted the, you know, the little quick teaser in the beginning, and you picked up on it and said, "Hey, man, you come over to Penn Network." And I said, "Eric, of course." You know, for me, it's just never been about ego. It's never been about, I have no need for fame or fortune. I don't care about that stuff. I have great friends in the paranormal community, people that I consider brothers and sisters. People that I work with, you know, in other groups. I do a lot of support work for groups. I work with a lot of teams of people that are, you know, not only top-notch investigators, but are true friends and are just my kind of people. And you know what I mean? They're just, you know, there's some really incredible people in what we do. And they come from all backgrounds, and they're fascinating, and they're deep, and they're educated, and they're interesting, and just everything you'd want in being with people. You know, it's that, you know, that camaraderie. So in doing Real Paranormal Television, it sort of took a life of its own. And I'm doing interviews with friends of mine, with, you know, peers, with investigators, with scientists. And you saw some of the sneak peeks, you know, coming up. The next episode, I think, will be with Claudia Emery, who's a personal friend of mine, an investigator. And John Levy from Old City Paranormal, who's another good friend of mine. I do a lot of work with John and his team. And people that I've met in the paranormal community and that I work with on a regular basis, there's a reason that I work with them. They're down to earth. There's no, you know, no show and glow about what they do, no smoke and mirrors. It's all for real. It's 100%. They give it their all. They are objective. They're realistic. They're optimistic, semi-skeptical. They don't, you know, they're all believers because they've had experiences, but they're, you know, they're the type of people that you would rely on for advice. you would rely on for friendship, you would rely on in a time of need, and you would count on them always being, telling you the truth, whether you wanted to hear it necessarily or not. And that's what I love about the people that I'm going to be interviewing for the show. And that's what sort of happened. I just started to set about working on the show, not to better anybody else out there, but to really bring something different that I didn't see out there. Nobody's doing the backstory of the paranormal. Nobody's doing the nuts and bolts of the paranormal. You know what? What about the investigator? How much does it cost to investigate? What about the time involved and all these other things that people just aren't taking into consideration? I think that's why I spearheaded the project.
Yeah, you are correct. There are people out there that are attempting to educate, and there's people that are out there that are attempting to entertain, and very, very rarely do those two lines get crossed for any length of time. That's the whole thing. You
Right.
may have one show here and one show there, and then it gets spammed across Facebook, and by 2 weeks later, everybody's either seen it or has seen the ad so many times they're not going to go watch it, just out of spite. So the way that you have it weaved in between, where you can, you're kind of being really sneaky and actually teaching people stuff, man. That's great. I love that.
It's funny, Eric, because everybody, and that's what I mean. You don't have to bring ego to the table with this. People want to learn, and there are people out there that, we all know different things. We all have different expertise in our real life that we can bring to the table. And that's sort of what I'm doing in a way. I'm putting it out there. This is how I started. This is how I learned to investigate. These were the principles that I applied to it. This is what this is what came of it. And what I want to do is bring those things that I've learned to bear, but also bring the things that my friends have learned and my peers in the paranormal community, because there's so many amazing people out there, and each with their own almost unique perspective, but with the same goal. And I want to help to bring that into the fold, and not make it a weekly show. That's very hard for me for my schedule, but once in a while thing that I can put out there and work on in the time frame that I have available. I'm very sorry if I had more time to devote, but I have a family I have to feed, so we got to go to work and earn our keep. So I'm doing my best to keep us all afloat. And like I said, I funded this project right from my own pocket. There's no corporate sponsors. There's no, producers or directors telling me how I have to go about this or what I can and can't say. So we're going to bring the truth. We're going to bring the backstory. We're going to bring the nitty gritty of the paranormal that a lot of people aren't really, aren't aware of or don't know about or never really. It's kind of funny. It's almost like, when you go to a new school and you're the new student and you sort of, people don't know who you are, and maybe it's sometimes you're afraid to ask, or you're afraid to reach out and be vulnerable. I've learned that part of our experience here as human beings is to learn. And what I want to do is bring that sort of humble learning process back to the paranormal community. I've done certain things in the field. I've been in the field for a long time. I'm a retired international director for United Paranormal International. I've met incredible people all over the world. I have support from so many incredible friends from all over the place, from every background, every belief system, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. We're like I said, we all have the same goals, and we're all after the same thing. Is there life after death? And how do we prove that? How do we prove that every time? How do we, these were people. These were people at one point in time. How do we help them in their current situation? And like you were saying, a lot of these shows are experience getting and, fame and fortune shows. And that's a shame, because they're really leaving out the human factor of this, is that this was a person at one point in time, and they're lost. They're around for a reason. And maybe we can help tell their story. Maybe we can help the investigators help them tell their story, so we can help set them free. Who wants to be trapped? I know I don't.
Well, and also that's one reason why you don't see our network over here clogged full of just anybody that has a camera. The shows, especially the paranormal shows, we show the real deal over here. That's why we are so excited to have you on board with us. But the other shows that we have that are paranormally based, they're the real deal. If it's hot outside and hot that night and they're recording, you're going to see them sweating. It's not a cut and paste kind of deal. It's the real deal. We want people to experience what we experience, and that's the reality of it.
And if they experience absolutely nothing, guess what? You get to watch them experience absolutely nothing.
And that's the funny thing is, you know, I was told by somebody once that people don't want to learn, they want to be entertained. And I call BS on that. I don't believe that. I think that people do want to learn. And I think it needs to go beyond just the entertainment shock value. You know, if you want shock value, there's a lot of great movies on that'll give you the shock value. But if you want to know what the real nuts and bolts of investigating the paranormal are, then come to Penn Network and learn what these people are doing, and we're here to share. I mean, we're one big family, Eric, and you guys are just amazing for what you're doing, and you've been doing this for a while now, and I have to give you so much respect for that. And it's another reason that I wanted to come on board. And when you invited me, I said there's just no question in my mind. That was it.
Yeah, and like I said, your reputation precedes yourself. I couldn't. When I saw you were doing something, I wanted to be part of it. I'm just gonna put that out there to you. And as far as us being, while I appreciate the comment, I think we're just slow learners.
You're a slow learner.
Well, I'm a slow learner. You know, and something else I think very important that I'm sure everybody that saw your episode will take away from it. You're not a fear monger in any way, and by that I mean not every other word out of your mouth is it's a demon.
Oh God!
Right.
Because that is to me, I'm almost to the point with that where I almost want to put a post on Facebook that would probably lose me viewers, because I just want to put it out there that hey, you're scaring people that don't understand, that don't have a knowledge base. So you're throwing something out there that is a fear-based word, phrase, intention, and that to me is starting to grate on me more than anything else, because there's people that just don't know, that
Right.
It just hasn't been part of their lives, but they do know what a demon is, and they have a certain, I don't want to say misconception, but their conception of what a demon really truly is not very much mixed in what reality truly is, and it just perpetuates a cycle, you know. And then
Right.
people come to our shows and they're like, well, these shows aren't any good. There's not any demons on them. That's because demons are a very rare thing.
I agree. Eric, it's amazing. And even you saw the sequence where there was that alleged demon head capture in one of the videos that we took at the investigation location. I think it's pareidolia. I don't think it was a demon.
Right.
You know, it was a real quick capture, and it was just one of those things where mulling over the hundreds of photos that we took from the location, and it's 35 millimeters, so we got stacks of them. You know, and we looked at the hallways, and we looked at the different, places, and it's just paint peeling from the walls. But, I mean, just like ITC communication works, I still have to ponder, do entities have the ability to use and manipulate their environment to communicate? And we see that with EVP, with electronic capture, but can they actually use physical form to manifest? And that's kind of cool, but again, it's something that really needs much more study. Mm-hmm. And you're right, demon is a catchword, and it's something that these movies have sensationalized and created fear in people. I also concur that if it is a phenomenon, it's rare. My take on it, Eric, is honestly, it could be one of two things, one of maybe three things. If there are demons, then they're either ultra-terrestrials, meaning that they can traverse time, space, and dimension. They're dimensional beings, and that's possible. I can't possibly rule that out, right. Nor can I prove it yet. They could be Nephilim, or they could be Anunnaki that died here on the planet in our remote past. They would be the spirit of a biological entity that was non-human and is very different from us. And I think that might be plausible, but again, like you said, I think it's very rare and very few and far between.
Well, I mean, they get so ridiculous with it. We have a EVP out of a cistern.
Which is an old-timey hole in the ground refrigerator, if nobody knows.
And at a hotel, and absolutely nobody was in the building. It's on a back road, so no traffic, no nothing. Even I wasn't in the building. I was across the road down by the river. So, and I mean, we got the weirdest noise. Some say it's a growl.
Oh, it's a growl, but it's not. It's not in a canine or a human vocal range. Let me put it to you that way.
But to say it's demonic, to me, is ridiculous because, I mean, we've never had going into that building is like going to your grandma's house during nap time. I mean, it is so calm and quiet, it's ridiculous. Right. The first time we were there, we actually left probably 6 hours early. We had it for the whole night, and we left at like 1 in the morning because there was simply nothing going on. A week later, when we reviewed the voice recorders, we had like 20 different EVP come out of that place.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
But the cistern was the second time we had gone, and it was the only thing we got. But it was also during the day, it wasn't at night.
Right.
I'll send it to you. When we get off the show, I'll send you the file. I still have the raw file.
But it's crazy.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'd love to hear it. That's amazing. And you're right, too. It's during the day. I mean, a haunt is a haunt 24/7. It doesn't,
right.
Just because people shut the lights off and use IR cameras and all this other crazy stuff. Look, we investigated those ruins in night, day, weekend, sun, snow, whatever it was, we were there. And that's the amazing thing about the paranormal is it's very surprising. Like you said, I mean, we investigated another team I was with. We investigated a place called Chestnut Hall in Gettysburg, and we were there for 14 hours, and it just was dead flat. And I really didn't think much of the place, and there really wasn't much happening in all that time. But we really, gave it a good shot. And I came out with some of the best EVPs I think I've ever gotten, ever.
Exactly. It's the same thing. And yeah, this was 2:30 in the afternoon. It was just two of us walking around in the building because the owner gave us permission to. So, I mean, if they have no time, they don't care what time it is.
Right.
We're the only ones paying attention to the clock.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Well, and let's just be very honest. If you were to do a quote-unquote ghost hunting show during the day, it wouldn't be nearly as creepy.
Well, yeah, the creep factor has something to do with it, I think.
So that's why it's in green IR. That's why, that's why they like to use the FLIR. Even though, to me personally, I don't think the FLIR is the right way to go. You're going the wrong way on the spectrum.
Right.
But, that's just my opinion.
But if you don't try out stuff, you don't know whether or not it's going to work.
Correct.
Right.
I'm just saying for TV.
That's just a really expensive test boy.
Right. Well, but also now, people are so accustomed to cold spots, but a lot of people are dismissing hot spots where there's actually a burst of thermal energy. And that, again, could be understanding the laws of thermodynamics, energy not being able to be created or destroyed, but transfers from one form to another. You might wonder if those hot spots concur with eventual EVP capture, where it's been transferred from thermal to electrical energy in some way.
Okay.
And
I got you there, too. Bellawood was commenting on our opener about it being the Shanley Hotel.
I love you guys. Bellawood rules.
And, I mean, I've been to the Shanley. This is the first Halloween in 4 years I haven't been, and they're actually up there tonight. But, when was it? February, I guess? They were up there, and in Oscar and Grover's room on the second floor, my co-host Mary had put down a voice recorder on the table and was filming it. And the voice recorder disappeared, but when the voice recorder disappeared, it went up 4 degrees.
Really?
And every time something would move in the room, the temperature would go up. And in February in Napanoch, New York, the temperature does not go up.
No, it's going down.
Exactly.
But this was also with a trap cam. Let me throw that out there.
Yes.
A trap cam that took a picture on motion.
With the temperature, the time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, she got 6 pictures in like the 2 or 3 hours she had it up there. But you could see the voice recorder disappear, the curtains move, a shadow on the back wall, the voice recorder's back.
Wow.
But every time it did it, it shot up like 3 to 5 degrees.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, see, now that's cool because concurrence and trends are something that I look for too. When I go and we have the opportunity to study a location, and we're studying a location with Old City Paranormal at Temple University Episcopal Center. And what's amazing about that is that I've really been able to conduct some very thorough data gathering of environmental information over time, and that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people walk around with vector-based meters which detect current flow in one direction, but they're not looking at actually the shape of anything. You know, the shape of the power, which is power density. And, you know, the thing about the vector-based meters is it's only going to show you current flow, but it's not going to show you radio frequency. It's not going to show you microtesla. It's not going to show you these other variants of capture that are very important to understanding a location. You know, you have terrestrial signals. You have cell phone towers. You need to locate those. You have microwave signals, and especially at the hospital, you have a lot of radio transmissions going on back and forth between the ambulances and the dispatching center. So you have to be very careful of these random spikes that might happen. So,
right.
It's very, and like you're saying, the concurrence of one event with another event, that really is something that shines where it comes to data gathering, which then becomes evidence. And I applaud you for that. That's really cool capture.
Well, that's the first time we had actually paid attention to the temperatures on it. And she's like, she was up there and she sent me the pictures next morning. What do you see? And I'm like, okay, the temperature jumped. No, you're missing something. I was looking at this, and she was looking at the voice recorder. She noticed it missing. I noticed the jump. So between the two of us, we can work it out. But
right, and it takes a team.
Everybody
really
picks
does.
their own piece of it.
Yeah.
Something too, people need to understand, especially when it comes to, and I wanted to throw this out there. A couple reasons. One, Brian in the chat room just mentioned that we're breaking out some David Roundtree stuff on him right now, and we are, and we are to a certain degree. But something very important about EMF, like you said, a K2 will go off with anything, but it
right.
also only responds to let you know that something's there to a certain milligauss. A millimeter, because it's not able to be calibrated, is very hard to put under the term or the umbrella scientific instrument. It will tell you when stuff is there, right. And it will give you another level above what a K2 will do. It can go up to a much higher level.
And give you the temperature.
And give you the temperature, but it doesn't give you the waveform. And the
right.
waveform of what you're detecting electro with an EMF signal or pulse or event, that waveform becomes immensely important. If it's a nice, pretty, semi-clean sine wave, that's human-generated
correct
signal, and you might as well disregard it because it's coming from a current power source somewhere. If it's a different waveform than that, then you got something, and that's
right.
when you need it. Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that because, unfortunately, all they've seen is what's put out on the shiny box.
If you stick a penny
right.
in the voice recorder, it works better.
Yeah.
And it's funny you're saying that too, Eric. It's funny you're saying that too because also there's something that people have to consider, especially in a location that has power, is that you can have what are called eddy currents or Foucault currents or what's called a harmonic, yep. And that's generated by nonlinear loads in the electrical system, and that can cause a lot of errant frequencies. So in order to be able to, if you can shut the power off at a location, that's even better. But I mean, Richard Higgins knows that when we were up at the Shanley, I dragged him out. I said, come on, let's go find the grounding for this building. I want to look at the electrical service because I want to see if it was done correctly and if it's grounded properly. So we took a ground clamp and actually, tested the ohms of resistance to ground for the electrical system because I wanted to know whether or not the system inside was grounded properly, if we were going to be able to get the proper readings or not, or we're going to have to adjust our, capture based on what we're finding. And it's all part of the puzzle, but it's also something you'd mentioned, David Roundtree and my boy Brian. Brian, I love you, man, for watching. Thank you so much. But I'm interviewing David Roundtree in an upcoming episode. The interview's in the can. He was an amazing, amazing guy to hang out with, and he's doing, I'm telling you, some cutting-edge research, man. I got to applaud him. He's doing some great stuff, and I think people will learn a ton when they watch this interview.
Actually, he did one of his debut experiments at the Shanley at our Paracon that I threw in May.
I know we talked about it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there were some findings there that a lot of researchers don't know. We might talk about that in a little while, but I mean, yeah, we were part of that. That was a very interesting.
We were part of that groundbreaking.
Yeah, but what's really cool is the device that he's using now, and I just want to throw this out there real quick. The device that he's using now for EMF detection is actually called the MagCheck 95. It used to be called that because it cost $95. David started hawking it, and now it costs $195.
So don't ever use David's name, otherwise it goes up $100 immediately.
Oh, hey,
Tinker
good for
Toys.
them.
If David said Tinker Toys did something, Tinker Toys would be out of a normal person's reach. But basically, you use that device in large bundles of wires to find a hot wire. It's that sensitive. But he's hooking it up to a handheld oscilloscope, and of course with an oscilloscope, it's kind of like a sports car, how much money you want to spend. You can get some that'll do the data logging for you. The particular version that he's using, I think, cost $250 or $300, and it doesn't do any data logging, but it will go to an SD card that you can upload. But there was some very interesting stuff that also lets you know. It not only tells you the amplitude of what's there, which is what the millimeter's doing. It'll tell you the waveform, and that, like I said, that is immensely important. And people just need to understand a lot of stuff that you get with doing this with a millimeter doesn't really work. It only scans once every 3 seconds, so you have to move like that, and then like that with a millimeter. Right. You can't be waving a millimeter around. Tri-field meter, any of the really good meters, they're designed to be static meters, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, and that's now you're dealing with between AC and DC current, and like I was saying about vector-based meters, is they're detecting, when just to explain it briefly, when current flows through a wire, and what I mean by current flow, when electrons are moving down a conductor or a piece of wire, that's flow of current. Around that conductor flows a magnetic field, and that magnetic field only happens when there's current flow. So that's something people need to really start to understand about when they're using these vector-based meters. When you off-access that vector-based meter by 90 degrees, you lose the current flow detection because the vector means it's directional. So when you use a tri-field meter, you're actually looking at current flow in 3 dimensions, which is a little cooler. You're getting a better feel for it, but if you don't understand the intricacies of the readings specifically, then understanding power density and perhaps anomalous capture, it's really going to be difficult because you're just, assuming that signals are paranormal when they might not be. You really have to isolate and work in a pretty closed system, and we all know that's really hard to find.
I'd like to make a comment. Brian's in the room. He says he feels like a scrub investigator. He's only got a $30 recorder, $5 flashlight, and an old video camera.
Awesome.
Let me tell you, every piece of equipment, regardless of what it is, has importance in this field. I'm a dowser.
Oh, awesome. Good for you.
Give me a flashlight and a couple of brass rods and turn me loose. I don't need a $9,000 setup to do what I need to do.
Right.
Everybody has an important piece in this. David Roundtree has this, but that doesn't make the dowsing or, a $20 Walmart voice recorder any less important.
I agree.
In the data
100%.
we're trying to collect.
It's called citizen science.
Right. That's exactly right. Good for you, Eric.
And that's what it is. But what people don't understand, or what a lot of people, let me back that truck up for a minute. What a lot of people on Facebook refuse to understand, is the fact that we are all in this together. It is going to take my data, your data, their data, and everybody else's data to pull together
to get the big
to
picture.
get a bigger picture, like you said. When you have a large amount of data, you can see trends. You can see
Right.
Highs and lows and average it out to where you have a better chance of repeating that experience or that event. And people once people kind of get that, that's when you see people move up a level. And I'm proud to say that over the last year or so, that level has started to increase. There's still a large group of people out there that are trying to be thrill seekers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But don't take an investigation at somebody's house to try to help them when all you're really shooting to do is get a thrill anyway.
Right. And that, yeah, I mean, that's really where you're nailing it. And this is another reason I love being a part of the Penn Network. You guys are true. This is what we do. And like you said earlier, you know, a lot of the places we go to, and I even mentioned it in the show, there's nothing happening. You know, we've gone to clients' houses that, you know, we've investigated for hours and really, you know, sleuthed through as much as we could possibly sleuth in that amount of time, and realized that there's really nothing happening. And they were like, well, when are you coming back? You know, well, my friends and I watched the show, and, you know, oh, wait a minute. No. You know, right there, let's stop. You know, you expected us to come in with a camera crew and a network, and that's not how this works. These are real people, everyday people that do this because they've had experiences like we have. You know, they had a childhood experience like some of us have had. There's been something that, you know, broke the barrier for them and opened the door and the floodgate really for having paranormal experience, but then to be interested in the paranormal enough to become an investigator. Now it's really, and there's that fine line, there's that fork in the road, you know, where some become real researchers and investigators and others become these fame-hungry, you know, fortune-seeking power whores. And I'm sorry if you're a power whore out there, and if that's the kind of life you're looking for, that's cool, good for you. You know, but there are some really good people doing this, and they deserve credibility because they're the real deal. They're out there in the trenches investing their money, whether it's dowsing rods or $9,000 oscillators. You nailed it, because I believe in the human barometer. I mean, that's how I started. I went into this location, and I felt these feelings that I never felt before. You know, and it meant something to me. And you'll see in future episodes, I'm going to be breaking out the mind machines and some of the EEG equipment so that you guys can look at some of the stuff that I'm finding, too, about how the brainwaves are part of this and how inherently I think everybody has a certain level of psychic ability, and it's a matter of whether they can tap into it or not. But we'll down the road. Nothing yet. Well, I want to see, you know, let's take it one step at a time.
And I don't want to offend anybody that we've ever investigated with, but the investigator is the biggest tool that's out there. Period. You are the biggest tool that's out there.
Well, and I'd also like to say that with any piece of equipment, I don't care how much it costs, go buy a dollar store candle. You can do experiments with it. If you do the same experiment several times, it'll prove they will prove a theory.
Right.
In Deanna Kelly's book, I actually have a dowsing experiment to where everybody's like, oh, it's just the muscular movements, blah, 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 blah. Well, I set it up to where there was two of us both dowsing with someone in the middle asking the questions, and where neither one of the dowsers could see each other.
Oh, cool. That's great.
And when you look at the numbers, the first time we got 14 hits out of 20. The second time we got like 38 out of 50.
Wow.
And the last time we did it, we were at OSPH with Tommy Golden. And Tommy knew an entire story about something that had happened in the ER. None of the dowsers knew it. Nobody else down there knew the entire story except Tommy. Tommy was asking the questions. He was also throwing in lies. Both sets of rods got 100%.
Incredible.
So,
and you're set up a control, too, which is, yes. I'm so impressed. Thank you so much for doing great work. I mean, that's the way it should be.
With human involvement, it's as close to a double blind as you can get.
That's exactly right.
But I wanted something out there that showed that it wasn't just, you know, my little brain going, yeah, and my hands moving and this, that, and the other thing. So we did the first 2 rounds of this experiment in the same hotel, around the same time at night, with the same dowsers, the same people, the same weather, everything. So, I mean, as long as you keep it, you know, within the same realm, and don't, you know, fly off the handle and just go stupid with it, the experiments do work. And even if it's just to prove something to yourself. And it just so happened Deanna and I were talking about it, and it got added into her book.
Oh, cool.
But, I mean, like I said, even a cheap piece of equipment can be proven.
Right. You know, a lot of people, they want that experience. You know, they want to be able to capture it and remember it and to share it. And I think that's wonderful. I think that you know, the human ability to share and communicate with each other is part of the key to our success ultimately as a species. You know, and within our community, you know, it's so important quintessentially that we work together to raise the bar together. That, like Eric said, that we're really finding, you know, that it is stepping up, that people are taking it to the next level. And the trends, you know, now not trends in data collection, but the trends in, I don't know, the social, you know, psychology of, you know, shows and things, you know, television and whatever, you know, that these trends will come and these trends will go. And the people that have been doing this before these shows happen will still be doing it well after these shows just kind of wash off into the distance. But you know what it did? I have to applaud the shows on a certain level too, because they made it okay for people to have experiences that weren't sure how to reach out before. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a very concentrated few people were doing paranormal research back, you know, in the late 80s and the 70s and the 60s. I mean, even prior, you know, and it goes in a funnel, smaller and smaller, you know, as farther back as you go. You know, but as we're coming forward in time, it has opened the doors to allow people that are having these, you know, some terrifying experiences to have an avenue or have a means to reach out for help. You know, where they, you know, they're shunned by their family, they're shunned by their church, they're shunned by their, you know, community for speaking of these things. And these shows made it a commonplace. So on one level, it's good, you know, because it has opened the doors for people to open this dialogue, but it's also bad because, again, it set up these trends and these fads that, again, you know, it's just like clothing. Everybody's got to have their collar up this year. Everybody's got to have their collar down this year.
Well,
whatever, that'll come and go.
My biggest issue is just the fact that they're giving out misleading information and they treat you like you're stupid. And I want to give an example of why I say that. When you say that you're going to be, and everybody will know who I'm talking about, so I don't have to mention any names, but when you lock yourself into a place and it's only supposed to be 3 of you, and you can see all 3 of you on a camera shot.
There's more than 3 of you.
There's more than 3 people in there.
Or if all of a sudden people start coming in to join the investigation, how'd they get in if you're completely locked in and there's no way in or out?
Nobody wants to question that. That's the part of it that really, really gets me.
But another good part about the shows, not only does it give us some really cool locations to add to our bucket list, but it also gave us some ground rules. Anybody who is serious in the field, you know, get permission. You know.
Well, that's we'll be talking about that on a couple episodes too. You're right.
You know, check out locations. It's not always, you know, a haunted hospital or a haunted hotel. It could be, you know, a nursing home. It could be
Uncle Bob's house.
A playground. Right. It's not necessarily always the building's haunted. So, I mean, it did give us some things to work with.
And I will give the buff gelled one, I will give him kudos because he is one of the few on the shows that does wear a respirator. But
I mean, we've met most of them.
Most of them
on the shows. Some of them are great people, and they really are trying to do the right thing, regardless of what the directors and the production companies make them do. They are
I
out
believe
there
that.
for a
I
good
do.
reason.
Yep.
There are a few though who have the black suburban syndrome, and
Yeah.
that's the only reason they ever showed up for it, was just for the fame.
Yeah, help us
Well-
stop BSS,
Yeah.
Right.
Black suburban syndrome.
the black suburban syndrome.
Right. It's kind of cool though. We just got rid of a black Suburban, but it was my wife's, and she doesn't paranormal investigate. So it's kind
Well,
of funny.
Right?
It became automatic. If you didn't have a black T-shirt and a black vehicle,
Hey,
your
easy.
team was, there was something wrong with your team.
Easy.
Right. It's funny because I like black vehicles all anyway. Like and it's just so funny. Like how some of these things that were just so natural, part of my nature, just had become part of this whole trending thing. It's just like you're saying, but you're right. Where it becomes a phenomenon, or where it becomes this, confine for how conduct is taking place, and it's a little unfair. I mean, like I said, I have to give credit to some level of what these shows have done. And you're right. Some of the people that are involved with some of these shows are really good people, but they're producers, they're directors, they're trying to get ratings, they're entertaining, they got to get sponsors,
Right.
and these people don't care if somebody's grandmother died and has to say that one of the family members is poisoning the rest of them. I mean, that's what we really got to find out. Like, what's going on? The one thing I have to say about a lot of these shows, they never go back. I've never seen them go back and follow up. Very few, or it was at a famous location with known activity. I've never seen them go back to really help a family, and I've never actually seen them help a family who's having trouble. Like, where's the follow-up? See the background of this. Like, nobody's showing that. Why not?
Right. Well,
Is
that
it
doesn't
because
make
nobody can really help
that-
anybody, or is it that they just are too busy?
that doesn't make good television, Grayson.
Right.
We've already seen that episode. Why do we want to see that
Why do
episode
we want to go back?
again?
We can
Right.
go over here where this demon is.
But the really good ones on TV, if you can get them on your show, will automatically say one of the first sentences out of their mouth is, "It's entertainment."
Right.
If they say that, you've got a good one. If they're like, "Oh no, yeah."
Two of the best that we've interviewed that are major paracelebs that I have unending respect for are Rob Demarest
Absolutely.
and Barry Fitzgerald
Yeah,
Griffith.
I agree.
and Britt Griffith. Those three of all of the paracelebs that I've met, those three, they will also talk to you about the science of what they're doing. They understand that there are people that are more involved than, oh, you're on TV. They
Right.
understand that there's a whole other group of people that are doing this for the personal reasons that they started out doing it. They just happen to be able to make a chunk of change off of doing it.
Well, and Amy Bruni,
And
I haven't spent a lot of time with her talking to her about paranormal investigations, but she doesn't treat you like a fan. She doesn't treat you like a groupie or that she's better. We were supposed to set up an interview with her, and I kept tracking her around for the entire weekend, and she came up to find me to apologize because she was being forced to leave because her plane had to leave early.
Right.
She didn't have to do that. I mean, it was more than appreciated because it's kind of what you would expect. But she did
Well,
take the time to
yeah.
say, wait, don't drive off without me. I have to go find her to tell her I can't do it.
And like you said, Grayson, they've basically turned the paranormal experience into water cooler talk. It's okay to talk about it now, and to that
Right.
you are correct. We do very much to them need to give credit. We're still the weird couple that walks around in the graveyard, no matter how you slice that pie. Okay, but they're not going to try to put us in a little padded room anymore.
No,
Right.
but now they're trying to deem me a witch.
Yeah, but well, you are.
I am
Not
not.
wrong. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with being pagan,
The Wiccan.
Wiccan, pagan.
I'm
same
not
thing.
saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying.
I love it. I
Don't
think it's
assume.
great. I mean, that was something interesting. It's something that I, working in United Paranormal International, was that it was a drama-free organization, as best you could in this community, of course. But it was something that really what I wanted to do and what I wanted to bring was more diverse opinions from Wiccans and pagans and druids and all these different belief systems to try to bring them together And it's kind of tough. There was a lot of friction sometimes, but you know what? Some amazing friendships, amazing things came out of that, and a mutual respect for people of different backgrounds that bring different things to the table, different ideologies. That's key for what we do, because listen, if we're all going in the same direction, and forgive me if I'm offending anybody, but you know, paranormal unity is something that I'm on the fence about, because like, yes, we should all sort of work together, and people that know me and have worked with me know that I bring my 110% to the table to bring together people to work together. I think that's so important, and I gladly share any information that I have with people. It's my pleasure. You know, but to try to bring an entire community in some sort of line together, unless we know 100% sure that we are getting a capture in a certain way every time, and we can prove it every time, and it's always 100%, then there's really no way to get all the ducks in a row, because it's all opinion, conjecture, you know, and that's going to be very hard. But also, I'm very fearful that religious inculcation is part of, is sort of like that undercurrent to that paranormal unity thing, that as long as you toe, you know, the you know, religious lines, then it's okay to be, you know, unified in the paranormal community. I'm not taking anything away from my friends that are religious, and they know me. I speak up on this subject a lot. I'm not necessarily religious. I will never tell somebody that they shouldn't believe in what they believe in. Right. But what I think is that people need to open their mind and understand that there's a ton of different beliefs out there, and the one that you follow might not necessarily be the right one. So if you open your mind and listen to what other people have to say, and don't go in with inculcated blinders, you might understand that there's a lot more in this world than just what you've been told. And here's the demon factor coming out. A lot of people approach the issue of spirits as only demons. Where I have a great friend, Lori Champion. She deals with hostile haunts. I have nothing but respect for Lori, for what she does. She doesn't jump to conclusions. She's got incredible communication with spirits. And what some people are frightened of in investigating, or you go to an investigation, or a family's being plagued by, you know, by violent spiritual behavior, it could just be the spirit warning you. It could be somebody that actually cares and can't get your attention any other way but to knock some books off the shelf.
Yep.
Slam some doors. You're not paying attention to them. They're like, whoa, you got to hear this. And you can't jump to the conclusion that that's demonic. And again, a lot of groups will just, you know, throw it into that pile, and it's a shame. And it just goes around and around. So how do we come to some happy medium? Just never give up on each other. You know, investigate with an open mind, shake a lot of hands, you know, and treat people as people. We all, this is, and especially for us here in America, we have a right, we have a constitutional right to believe as we feel, you know, as we choose. We have a right to believe in God, we have a right to believe in the devil, we have a right to believe in water buffalo. Whatever you want, it's cool, because we're in America. So no one group should be able to tell anybody else that they're not allowed to believe what they believe. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with this whole thing.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, don't think that your way of belief is the only way of believing. Exactly. Because when you become that closed-minded, that's when everything becomes an angel or a demon.
Right.
And that becomes not only redundant but boring, because I don't think there's that many angels or that many demons to spread around the planet. And why would they
like
attack?
The deist philosophy, like our founding fathers, Eric. I mean, they were deists to some level, that they believed that there was something out there, but they were too busy doing their thing out there to worry about our little prayers, you know? And it's kind of cool. It's sort of what you're talking about, like a neat concept.
Yeah.
Well, as far as religions go, I don't care what religion anybody is. I don't sit there and make them fill out some form before we become friends. We've got friends who are Jewish, Muslim, Wiccan, pagan. I don't care what, you know. Everybody is praying to something. It eventually, the way I see it, it all comes around to the same thing. Whether it be a person, a rock, whatever. As long as you're saying prayers, as long as you're putting your intent into it, bless and go on.
Right. Right, and it's all about intent. It's all about what you bring to the table. Are you being positive or are you being negative? And those are the ultimate forces at work in the universe. You know, and it doesn't matter what religion you are, it's all equal. It's all about balance.
Yep.
You know, so as long as people are balanced and at least open-minded enough to accept that, you know what, maybe this person, though I don't agree with them, might have a really valid point. And that's something I really value in some of my friends. Some of my friends, we have knockdown, drag-out arguments about things, and I love them to death, and they love me. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, is that our hearts touch, that we've communicated and are part of the same, you know, being, really. Like, we're all in this together, you know. We're floating on a freaking rock in space going 64,000 miles an hour.
Well,
we're stuck here,
well,
you know?
That's what all the major religions teach anyway, that we are all here. You should love everybody. All of the major religions at their cores teach that.
Unless you're Westboro.
Except for Satanism. Satanism is all about yourself. And
Well,
that's a true statement.
Right.
Well,
That's exactly right.
the reason the whole Wiccan thing has become kind of a
joke,
running joke, because all of a sudden in the last 2 years, everybody and their brother walks up to me and goes, "So you're Wiccan, right?" And since I opened the shop 3 months ago, it's like every other week.
A whole new group of people have come in and started asking her if she's a witch.
And it's not even people in the shop. I was asked in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where did this come from all of a sudden?
Well, at least you're getting recognition. I think that's wonderful.
I'm Lutheran, just in case anybody wants to know.
Well, that's as close to Wiccan as you can get in the Judeo-Christian, I think, is to be Lutheran,
That's okay.
I guess.
But
Well, it's all based on that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you know, this is where all these modern religions come from, is all the ancient traditions which were carried through
Right.
from these original belief systems.
the way I see it, be nice to people, be nice to living things, breathing things, flying things, whatever. Be nice. If you
Right.
can't be nice, I think there's a spaceship leaving any moment
about-
with your name
What
on it.
about mosquitoes? I
We
have
hope.
trouble
You
with
know,
Mos-
that's all.
mosquitoes and some spiders must go. Oh, and the arrogant fly today.
Yeah.
He had to go.
Well, Grayson, as much as I hate to say this, man, the hour has gotten away from us.
It goes fast.
I want people to know I'm going to throw up a graphic right now, and it's got you know, Real Paranormal Television on there, and they can find you at facebook.com/Greysen.Schmitt for your Facebook link. That's where people can get a hold of you, right?
His little one's
That's-
looking
that's
for
right,
him
Eric.
again.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had the right link up there.
Yeah, you can find me at Real Paranormal Television on Facebook, or Real Paranormal Television online, or at Penn Network, or my Facebook page. Come find me, man. I'm out there.
And we wanted to let everybody know that as we premiere these episodes over here, we're going to keep them on our autoplay on Saturday. So if you happen to miss them on a Friday, catch them every Saturday.
Oh, cool, Eric. Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you part of the Penn family, Grayson. Well, I can't wait to see the second episode, and I think the word's going to spread like wildfire. This is going to get good real quick. So,
Cool. Cool.
just real quick for everybody going out investigating this weekend, make sure you take care of yourself, protect yourself. It is getting cooler, but stay hydrated. That's for you, Mary.
And happy Halloween.
And
That's
It is
right.
Wednesday.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Be safe and bring me the chocolate. Just saying.
and nobody gets hurt.
There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarm setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team. Let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Michael. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys!
We're live. Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to Pema TV.
He's already had heart surgery twice. He's
like off part of the ventilation system and everything. He's doing really to be as small as he was. He's doing above average.
right. I want to say he's like 5 or 6 weeks old now.
88 days.
That's total gestation. That's from conception.
Oh,
So yeah, that's what threw me. I was trying to get how old he actually was, but she started it from conception.
well, in theory, I guess you could.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Seeing he didn't want to wait, but we've got all kinds of cool stuff. The speakers are Geraldine Sutton-Stipe, Dr. Rita Louise, Mary Gasparo, Jason McLeod, Lyle Blackburn, and Larry Flaxman.
And Mitchell Whittington.
Oh, and Mitchell Whittington.
You can go to hauntedholidaysmarshall.eventbrite.com and order your tickets.
Did I say we had investigations?
Yes, we do have 2 investigations in 2 virgin locations that have never been investigated before. So
We have an 1886 original Chamber of Commerce building, and we have a 1901 plantation mansion, 3,500 square feet.
and tickets are selling fast. There's less than 30 left. So if you want to be part of the investigation, because we are very serious about Cabinet at 40, because it will be a serious investigation. It is not a outing.
No.
The team leads are from groups that do this, are very experienced. So there will be no shenanigans.
shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are ghost hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike.
Welcome to October 25th, 2013. 6 more days.
And for all of our pagan friends out there, happy Samhain. I think that's how you say it.
Sally?
Yeah.
Sam Hain.
Sam Hain.
all that good stuff.
Want to thank Greysen for premiering his stuff here with us on Real Paranormal TV. Some awesome stuff. It's amazing when you can not only entertain but educate. That is an amazing accomplishment. We do have a whole lot going on around here. First, let's talk about Metaluna.
The place. Metaluna Boutique and Stones, Gladewater, Texas. There is a website. It is basically a boutique and new age shop, I guess you call it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a paranormal section, there's a metaphysical section, and then there's a boutique for everybody else who doesn't care.
And also, to make sure everybody knows, we are also a vendor for Paranologies. So if you want to order any of Jeremy Jones's devices, you can do that through our website too. His full catalog is up on the website.
Absolutely. And the doll you see is the larger witch. All the dolls, the jewelry, soaps, candles are all handmade, hand poured.
Yep. So be sure and check that out at MetalunaBoutiqueandStones.com.
Absolutely.
We've got a bunch of conventions and stuff coming up first. Let's just put them in chronological order. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Next week.
Day. This coming, not this Friday, but next Friday and Saturday, you can come see me. I'll be at the Dia de los Muertos Paranormal Conference in San Antonio. Scott Grunwald, Ken Gerhardt, the Kling brothers, Jen DeVilliers, Justin Eric, a whole bunch of people, and the old Yeti will be down there for a convention at the Emily Morgan Hotel in downtown San Antonio. So don't be afraid to come down there and join us. Don't have the ticket information right in front of us, but you can hit us up on Facebook, and I'll shoot all that information over to you. And the weekend after that, that's like 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, there is that.
Everybody needs to load up. Come join us down here in East Texas for
Marshall's Haunted Holidays. In Marshall, Texas, November 9th, we have vendors, we have speakers, we have a haunted tour, we have an investigation, we have the cemetery tour at dusk, we have, they've opened the museum there, so everybody can tour the museum. We also have Cohen's Carnival. One of the team members from Art in East Texas had a little baby boy. His name is Cohen Gage. He decided he didn't want to wait the entire time inside mommy. He wanted to see her quicker than that, so he came out at 23 weeks, 1 pound, 3 ounces, 11 inches long. So we're throwing a carnival. It's basically a bunch of little kids games, and there's little prizes and stuff. But that will help raise money for all his medical bills.